It's a cold day in Michigan. A WWE star has finally confirmed their exit from the company. We're going to talk about that and a variety of other topics. Very interesting time period in professional wrestling. I feel like there's a lot of exciting things that's happening in professional wrestling currently, but man, at the same time too, it is hard. It's hard to keep track of it all, isn't it? Well, if it's hard to keep track of everything that has everything to do with pro wrestling, then you should click subscribe so this way you never miss a video on the channel because you will know everything that is happening in professional wrestling. Okay, guys, we should probably talk about Tommaso Ciampa because Tommaso Ciampa has officially confirmed his exit from the WWE. Now, a lot of people still believe that maybe Tommaso Ciampa would be coming back to WWE, which is why this update video is so important, because I know when I made the video talking about the report of Ciampa leaving WWE, I was met with a lot of comments of like, no, he's probably going to resign. He's probably returning to the WWE. Ciampa is probably just taking a break, whatever it may be. However, there is so much more to it. So he actually posted a 2-page statement on Instagram, and he's basically confirmed that he's probably still going to be wrestling. Tommaso Ciampa officially took to Instagram with a statement about his future, which, by the way, maybe you don't remember this, but when I made the video talking about the reports of Ciampa leaving the company, there was a lot of people who left comments saying no. Like, he's returning to WWE. He's going to re-sign with WWE. Maybe he's taking a break. A lot of people actually compare this to the Becky Lynch situation, where a lot of people didn't think Ciampa would actually be going. So this is a very important update because on Instagram, he says, in the very near future, my contract with the WWE will officially come to an end. I'd like to thank every single person who contributed to the last 10 years of this incredible journey. Camera crew, ring crew, hair and makeup team, seamstresses, referees, creatives, producers, catering crew, commentators, ring announcers, travel department, medical team, talent reps, and anybody that I may have missed. A very special thank you to all of the men and women who I've shared a ring and a locker room with. Nothing but love and respect. And I would be remiss to not give a special thank you to my black and gold family. You will forever hold an incredibly special place in my heart. To the fans who have shown love and support over the last 2 decades, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, you would think that's where it ends, but he actually continues to go on and say more. He says, I'm an incredibly lucky person, one of the few who has spent his entire adult life living out his childhood dream. And while that dream continues to evolve, I will continue to chase it. So that right there, I think, is a pretty good signal that he is going to be wrestling again. He says, with that said, for the first time in over 10 years, I am available for all appearances, signings, photo ops, seminars, movies, TV appearances, fitness collaborations, sponsorships, and so forth. Please email any inquiries to bookciampa@gmail.com. And then he signed off with that post with a thank you and a heart and a peace sign. Wow. So you kind of have to wonder, what is Ciampa really trying to do? What is the real intention here? And what is the real reason that he's leaving WWE? I think those are all questions that are unanswered. Was there a reason in particular that he chose to leave the WWE? Or is it just that he feels like it's time? Is this a nothing burger? Because with Ciampa, it's interesting. He is one of Triple H's guys. And obviously we're seeing, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. We're seeing them on TV without Ciampa. But I always kind of figured Ciampa and Johnny Gargano were like a package deal. And it was funny because when Johnny Gargano's contract ended, a lot of people thought he would be showing up in AEW, and then he eventually came back to WWE, and that's where he wanted to be. So I think maybe Johnny Gargano is more of like a WWE lifer, and then Tommaso Ciampa isn't really so much. So is the next move AEW? I think it's a valid question. And I think it's an interesting question because right now AEW is going pretty damn crazy with signings. Do I think Ciampa could do some really cool stuff in AEW? I do. But at his age, I don't know if you really put Ciampa in AEW and, push him to the top of the card. I don't know if that's necessarily something that gets done. I I don't know if I see Tommaso Ciampa going on a singles route to TNA. I would argue that for TNA, you could put Tommaso Ciampa at the top of the card, especially as a heel. I think you would be stupid not to see Tommaso Ciampa as a legitimate heel in a singles role. We all saw what he did in NXT. At one point, I mean, he literally had everybody hating him. He couldn't even walk out with entrance music. That was a great time for Tommaso Ciampa in his career in WWE. So I look at Ciampa and his whole situation. I think about this deeply. He could go to AEW or TNA and he'll do some cool stuff regardless, but I don't even know if that's what he's looking to do. I really don't know. And as far as his departure from WWE, I really don't understand it either. In all honesty, I really don't. DIY could be tag teaming it up, but you guys have already heard my criticism towards the WWE tag team division for far too long. For far too long, you've heard it. But, man, if you're unhappy with your place on the card, I think maybe there's a conversation that could be had with Triple H. I don't know. There's a lot of things we obviously don't know here. We don't know these things. We don't know the answers to them. And quite frankly, we could speculate all day. And, you know, it seems like he's taken a very professional approach to departing the company, and his statement is very nice and very good. And obviously, he's not burning bridges with WWE. So I would like to think that maybe there isn't any drama there. And I'm not necessarily looking for the drama either, but I just think when you look at Tommaso Ciampa and his situation, I don't know if a singles career makes the most sense right now in professional wrestling when it is so incredibly saturated. I don't know. And I feel one thing I should say too is if, and it's a big if because we don't know, we're speculating, but if Tommaso Ciampa wanted to go solo, I feel like maybe that could have been something that WWE would have done. And maybe there was a conversation of him going up to them and being like, hey, I kind of want to do a singles thing. Me and Johnny talked about it. Can I get moved to Raw? He stays on SmackDown or whatever it may be. I don't know. Again, a lot of things we don't know, but just a very interesting situation. It's been officially confirmed, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. If you were somebody that was getting excited about Chris Jericho possibly showing up on WWE television for Saturday night's main event or SmackDown in Montreal, well, newsflash, Chris Jericho may have actually ruined any sort of hopes and dreams for you because according to PW Insider, on January 21st, 2026, talk began heating up about Jericho potentially showing up this weekend. And, well, there's kind of a hiccup with that. So Jericho is advertised to perform this Friday at the Anaheim Arena at Jam Night. It's a free concert that is part of the NAMM convention. If you guys don't know what the NAMM convention is, it's like the National Association of Music something. It's like, the NAMM convention is where all like the cool studio gear, recording gear, music stuff. Well, basically, Chris Jericho is booked for that. So Jericho is expected to be in Los Angeles all weekend for that. And then, of course, he's got commitments to the Fozzy Tour. And by the way, they just announced the new Fozzy Tour for the United States. So pretty much you cannot expect Chris Jericho at WWE this weekend. Now, this is a relatively big deal because now the betting, bet responsibly if you're going to do it, but bet AG or whatever it's called, where you could bet online. The odds for Chris Jericho showing up for the Royal Rumble have like significantly gone up higher. And I think if you are somebody who is waiting to see when Chris Jericho shows up, I would say it's probably safe to assume that he's showing up at the Royal Rumble. I think that's going to be the way they do it. And then I think what's actually really cool about Chris Jericho showing up at the Royal Rumble is, and I would have much rather seen it on January 5th when they did the 1 year anniversary with Netflix. But if Jericho is going to show up at the Royal Rumble, everybody knows who he is. The music is going to hit. People are going to go crazy. Jericho is going to get a massive reaction. And it kind of adds to the thing of Royal Rumble being about surprises. And it's going to steal the headlines. And WWE is all about those headlines. They want to dominate the headlines. They want to dominate Yahoo.com and all the dirt sheets and Variety magazine. in Sports Illustrated. And obviously, if Jericho shows up at the Royal Rumble, they're going to accomplish that. And you also got to keep in mind, there are a lot of people out there that exist that watch WWE for like SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. They may not watch the weekly shows. They might not watch every pay-per-view. But those events are obviously synonymous with the history of WWE. So you're probably going to have the opportunity to capture or recapture some of those casual lapsed fans who don't typically watch. So Chris Jericho showing up in the Royal Rumble would probably make the most sense here. And I don't blame WWE for doing it. But I think when you look at how lucrative these TV contracts are and how great surprises work for Friday night SmackDowns or Saturday night's main event or WWE Raw, sometimes it would just be really cool if it happened then. So Chris Jericho showing up at Saturday night's main event, probably not happening. Chris Jericho not showing up on SmackDown the night before, probably not happening. Which, by the way, this is a guy from Canada. So that would have been the logical return, right? Hometown guy kind of thing. And Canadians obviously love Chris Jericho, and he represents Canada very well. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of makes sense. So I look at this as a very unique situation. But what I will say is this. If Chris Jericho does, in fact, return to the Royal Rumble, he 1,000,000% should obviously not win the Royal Rumble. No reason whatsoever he should win the Royal Rumble. But I think you could set up his storyline through the Royal Rumble. And, you know, Chris Jericho, whether he's a babyface or a heel, we don't know. We don't know what the plan is. But whatever he does in the Royal Rumble, whoever he eliminates or whoever eliminates him, I'm hoping WWE builds up that story for WrestleMania. I still am keen on saying it should be LA Knight. But at that point, I really don't know either. Like, I'm tossing up my hands and I'm saying it loud and proud. I don't know, because I watched WWE Unreal Season 2 and LA Knight was having a hard time following directions, and that might have hurt him a little bit in the long run. You could tell WWE was really trying to push him, and he wasn't following what was told. So, you know, maybe Chris Jericho, LA Knight is the feud for WrestleMania. I would be very curious to see how they do that, because LA Knight has yet to return from television, or to television, I should say. So I do have a lot of curiosity there, but who knows, man. Chris Jericho, not expected to show up on SmackDown. Not expected to show up at Saturday night's main event. Interesting stuff there. Logan Paul getting some big headlines this week because he had a little yachty on the Impulsive podcast. Logan Paul recently re-signed with the WWE as a full-time member of the roster. And Lil Yachty was talking to Logan Paul, asking him about Vince McMahon's return. And I thought this was a very, very interesting conversation because Logan Paul, who is currently a WWE superstar, he has a huge, tremendous reach through social media and his podcast and his products. WWE obviously has been very distant from Vince McMahon. We didn't see him for John Cena's final run. Logan Paul is predicting that Vince McMahon will come back. He's predicting that Vince McMahon will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he's predicting that Vince McMahon will return at some point to the WWE. Now, still, all this time that's passed, for years, Vince McMahon has been gone from WWE. It is 2026, and we still do not know what is going on in the legal situation between him and Janelle Grant. It is still in process. And I remember going live, breaking news, telling you guys, Vince McMahon is gone from the WWE. And I remember I said, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. We are going to be waiting a long time until we get all of our answers. And through all this time that's passed, Vince McMahon has barely been in the public eye. He has not been involved in professional wrestling. We have not seen Vince McMahon publicly. It is very, very rare that we see him. And so I do think I kind of agree with Logan Paul. I think for WWE, they have a lot of logical situations that they have a lot of situations they got to handle logically. But also, there was those text messages that came out that kind of made it look like, allegedly, WWE was going to bring Vince back in. And that's why they were doing the sale to TKO. And just, I could see them trying to bring Vince back. And boy, do I not want that to happen. I do not want Vince McMahon's influence in the WWE product whatsoever. At all. At all. No creative input. At all. I think wrestling fans who want to criticize WWE today do not remember how bad it was under Vince McMahon. And that is why I do not believe a lot of the criticism comes today. When you see people clamoring for Vince McMahon to return, I do not believe it. I go on Twitter sometimes and I see people saying, bring Vince back, Triple H sucks. I believe those are trolls. There is no human being that truly believes that Vince McMahon's product is better than Triple H's. Take AEW out of the equation. Forget that AEW exists for a minute. There is no way a human being could think that Vince McMahon presents a better WWE product than Triple H. Triple H and Lee Fitting absolutely kill it in comparison to what Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn presented. We took chicken shit for years and ate it and pretend it was good. And so when Logan Paul, has this theory that Vince McMahon will be back and going into the Hall of Fame, I do agree at some point Vince will go into the Hall of Fame. I do agree with that. I do agree that Vince McMahon will probably find his way into the TKO company. I do. I do think that is a possibility. I do not for 1 second believe that Vince McMahon will ever work in creative in the WWE ever again. I don't think Nick Khan allows it. I don't think Mark Shapiro allows it. I don't think Ari Emanuel likes it. I don't think The Rock. And I understand that a lot of people have their loyalty to Vince. I understand it. But I do not foresee these guys. These guys are in so much debt. And the only reason why it's not as bad is because the WWE makes them so much money. The WWE makes up for the fact that TKO as a company is losing money with the UFC or whatever it may be. And a lot of that comes from Nick Khan and Triple H. So Vince McMahon returning is not only detrimental to the overall business, there's a lot of risk with bringing him back. But if you brought him back and put him as head of creative, I think you are going to alienate a lot of your fans. I really genuinely believe that with all my heart. And I just think Ari Emanuel as the CEO, as the big wig, as the chairman, as all this stuff, he's the man with the power. I just refuse to think he is that dumb. I refuse to believe it. I really do. And so Triple H, he's chief creative officer, and that's great. And he's doing a great job, in my opinion. Vince McMahon returning and taking over that position would be catastrophic for the WWE brand. And it is interesting because you do see a lot of WWE superstars kind of stray away from talking about Vince McMahon publicly. Logan Paul, via his podcast, he tends not to stray away from talking about it. And so maybe there's even people at TKO being like, hey, you guys should talk about this just to see what the crowd reaction and the fans' reaction are. It's kind of like a feeler to see how people would react to the idea of Vince coming back. But in my opinion, I think it would be absolutely catastrophic. I think it would be the dumbest thing that can happen to the WWE product. And that brings us to our final topic. A WWE announcement has been made. Another partnership that WWE continues to just, they're flourishing when it comes to these partnerships and global partnerships. This time it is with VGW. This press release came from Perth, Australia. Interactive entertainment company VGW is excited to announce a multi-year partnership with WWE, the global leader in sports entertainment, commencing in 2026. The press release continues to say that the partnership will see VGW's portfolio of online social games brands collaborate with the WWE across multiple platforms, providing premium entertainment experiences for millions of players and fans across the United States. WWE's year-round entertainment schedule and massive global following, reaching more than billions of houses worldwide in more than 20 languages, makes it a natural fit for VGW's highly engaged U.S. player base. Through the agreement, VGW will access WWE's global network and superstar talent to create engaging, high-impact content and campaigns. This includes production time with WWE superstars, integration against WWE's digital and social channels, and broadcast exposure across major networks, further amplifying their visibility. VGW brands will feature prominently across WWE programming, including SmackDown and WWE Premium Live events, including WrestleMania and SummerSlam. WWE is an entertainment powerhouse with a passionate fan community, said by the Chief Marketing Officer, Ben Whitford. This collaboration connects our audiences through dynamic content and experiences that combine VGW's love of games with WWE's iconic brand. We're thrilled to be partnering with WWE to deliver memorable campaigns and unique players' experiences while continuing to engage our existing audience in fresh and exciting ways. So obviously there you have it. WWE continues with the partnerships, global expansion. I mean, this is the kind of thing that TKO has actually been really good with. And it is true, WWE really does have a strong global presence. I mean, if you look at it from, you know, their social medias, and if you look at their product itself, I mean, they are really everywhere. Everybody knows what WWE is. So it's not really shocking to get announcements like this. It just goes to show you that regardless of what fans in the IWC want to say about the WWE, the brand is still very strong, and this is why they take advantage of it, and TKO is very smart about it. They know how to make their money. They know how to do these partnerships. They know how to go into negotiations. And really, I mean, Nick Khan has just really changed the way WWE is, especially since being under TKO. It's like a lot of strengths here. So very good stuff by the WWE. We'll obviously see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, and I'll see you later.